Hello and welcome to my channel Super Sam 7. This is the 800th video on this channel, and I've always wanted to make more comic book themed videos for this channel. I haven't uploaded to my original comics only channel that was called The Real Super Sam for quite a while because I wanted to move everything I do to this channel, which is the very first channel I ever made almost 10 years ago. And so today I'm talking about the first appearance of my favorite Spider-Man villain, still my favorite Spider-Man villain after all these years, Mysterio. We're going to go through Mysterio's first appearance, which was in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 13, written by Stan Lee, drawn by Steve Ditko, and lettered by Artie Smek. By my research, this is the 138th comic in a giant reading order of the Marvel Comics universe. This issue released on March 10th, 1964, being pulled off shelves June 1964. The story is titled The Menace of Mysterio. Also, fun fact, since I won't be able to say this for every comic I review, this is the 18th appearance of Spider-Man in a comic issue at the time of its release. As you see, the cover shows Spider-Man trying to grab Mysterio with his webbing, but it's dissolving before it even reaches the villain, and at the bottom it talks about how Spider-Man has been turning to crime maybe, and is going now to a psychiatrist. So let's get into the story. The story opens up with Spider-Man stealing money from a bank and escaping the police by climbing walls and thripping out webs. This makes the public believe the Amazing Spider-Man has turned to crime. Also, for some reason, I could have sworn that the second panel on screen with Spider-Man swinging away was a reprinted shot from Amazing Spider-Man issue 5, but I guess not. But in my head, this is the same waterfront Spider-Man fought Dr. Doom on in issue 5. Anyway. Even Peter Parker, Spider-Man himself, questions if he has a split personality like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, worrying about it after class hours. Since Spider-Man has been seen committing crimes, J. Jonah Jameson, editor-in-chief of the Daily Bugle newspaper, is capitalizing on his mistrust and past negative articles on Spider-Man, and even accepts a visit from some mysterious note that says he can take care of Spider-Man easily. That person shows up standing in a cloud of smoke, purple cape, green outfit and gloves, and a crystal ball covering his head. The man's name is Mysterio, and he has the Bugle print a strange note to Spider-Man to come to the Brooklyn Bridge for answers he wants. Spider-Man goes there to confront Mysterio on what he meant about knowing the truth, but Mysterio strikes back at Spider-Man, backflipping over him and encasing the two figures in a cloud of smoke, hitting Spider-Man over and over again, unrelenting, until Spider-Man dives off the bridge into the river below. While under the water, Spider-Man swims away, evades capture from the police, and at home, soaked and broken, at last figures out what was up with Spider-Man committing crimes. Spider-Man tracks Mysterio down after slipping a spider tracer on him as Peter Parker when he went to the Bugle to celebrate his victory. Mysterio confirms Spider-Man's suspicions that he was behind the fake Spider-Man robberies, and we learn how Mysterio was able to mimic Spider-Man's abilities and make it seem like he has superpowers of his own. Side note, when I first saw the panel on the left on a Spider-Man Mythos Guide pop-up book I got when I was like 4 years old, I thought Mysterio in that panel was like a giant in that scene. And now I want to talk about specific moments in the issue that I wanted to focus on a bit more. When Spider-Man gets accused of being a criminal, most people we see believe that it's true, like JJJ and of course his classmates. Actually, Betty Brant, since Spider-Man saved her life back in issue 11, although she was mad and hated Spider-Man at the end of that issue because her brother was apparently killed by Blackie Gaxton and Spider-Man couldn't save him. And Flash Thompson is defending Spider-Man at school, saying he may still be innocent despite all the evidence, and of course it's a little bit ironic because he bullies Peter Parker, but he likes his alter ego, Spider-Man. And I bring up the Betty Brant thing just because, shouldn't she be hating Spider-Man instead of liking him because of at the end of issue 11? Anyway. She, in the comics, is Peter Parker's first real crush, and at the time questioning if Peter himself, still likes her. Peter is distracted thinking about if he has a split personality, so he kinda snaps at her after she says he wished he got another job. Speaking of Spider-Man antics, the public literally turns against him the next day after the robbery happened, to the point the public just charges at him, yelling and throwing things like they have a chance at winning a fight against Spider-Man, but Spider-Man just decides to let it go and just go back to being Peter Parker. We also learned that, at least it seems, most of the public actually liked Spider-Man, especially children. Also in this picture, the second guy on the right kind of looks like Otto Octavius. The most unique thing about Spider-Man comics is the main character always being in more relatable situations like school and having money troubles. Well, in here, to try and figure out this Spider-Man robbing stuff, he literally goes to a psychiatrist's office for answers, but soon realizes he may give up his identity in there on accident and leaves, which has the therapist beg him to stay so we can get publicity. I love it when there's like little funny random side characters in this Marvel universe that you kind of have a one scene focus on. There's a moment where, after Spider-Man is viewed as the bad guy and Jameson looks to be proven right, he tries to get an advance and Jameson makes a joke about it and Pete leaves. A little like that iconic JJJ laugh moment from Spider-Man 2. Another thing that happens that reminds me of Spider-Man Media, the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, is Liz Allen becoming more friendly with Peter Parker and against Flash Thompson. Okay, back to my favorite stuff in this issue, the Amazing Spider-Man fighting the Master of Illusion Mysterio. In their first fight, Mysterio seems invincible. Spider-Man can even hit him with one of his webs thanks to Mysterio's special chemical that shoots out of his gloves that instantly dissolves Spider-Man's webbing so it doesn't touch him. Some other unique powers of Mysterio is his crystal ball helmet. It's not specifically mentioned here, but he can see out of it while no one can see in, and it also gives him a weird disorienting effect that bothers the people he's around when he's speaking, and he always has smoke around him to help him seem like he's a teleporter or something. They're actually, I think it's the third Mysterio in comics who actually is a mutant teleporter, but anyway. When he fights Spider-Man at the end of the story, after the heroes figured out everything, he doesn't go down in one punch, that's to his stunt double training and padded costume. I also love the creativity of fighting Mysterio throughout a Hollywood-like studio where they look like they fight in space and stuff. Like at the end of the Spectacular Spider-Man episode 14, when Mysterio first appeared in that show. Mysterio's real name is Quentin Beck, and his main goal is to be rich and famous like most bad guys at the time. I do love how he is just a normal man with a bunch of tricks and gadgets that make him look like a real sorcerer. He has spring boots, special gas, and a super cool helmet. Nowadays, there is more than one Mysterio. I think there's been 5 or 6, but Quentin Beck will always be my favorite one. One of Mysterio's most underrated gadgets, I think, is the 2 eyes he wears on his chest, the eyes that cause the smoke to form all around him, and even sometimes throw out projections. And those are my thoughts on The Amazing Spider-Man issue 13, which was Mysterio's first appearance. This issue also has letter pages to talk about. Not all issues I review will have letter pages to look at, but I will have a good chunk of them, and if I can get them, I will. All except one of these in this issue is just praising the new comic magazine. Now, the third one is really interesting. The writer talks about the danger of Peter Parker's radioactive blood being used in Aunt May's blood transfusion from issue 10, maybe it would turn her into a Spider-Woman. Well, that idea actually happens in issues 31 to 33, a few years later, and the last quarter of the letter pages, as you see, is just announcements for other Marvel Comics that month, like Fantastic Four issue 27, and a tease on the next issue having the Enforcers return, the Incredible Hulk appear, and a new supervillain named the Green Goblin. I have seen a lot of people online not like this issue, especially as a first appearance, which is really surprising to me. I think it was unique to have Spider-Man question his own sanity, especially with Mysterio on the scene. I know Chameleon impersonated Spider-Man once in issue 1, but that was a quick resolve. I also like how this had Spider-Man face his foe at an iconic location, the Brooklyn Bridge, for their fight. Yeah, it happened 4 times before this issue. They're in the story, in the Amazing Spider-Man title, if you count Peter Parker's school as an iconic location. I also like the Mysterio's plan has him talk and do interviews and parades interacting with everyday people. The more I think of this issue, the more underrated for a first appearance of a supervillain I think it is. Another thing I kind of want to mention is that there are some comic collections this issue is collected in. Of course, Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1, there is Marvel Essential Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, which is where I first read it in black and white, Marvel Epic Collections Volume 1, and a trade paperback that is titled Spider-Man vs. Mysterio. By the way, thank you all for over 5,400 subscribers, and I plan on making more comic-themed videos in the future. Alright, that is all. Thank you.